These are big, big changes. These are not small changes. These are not changes in words. These are enormous economic changes.
Holy smokes. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got an RCMP and a police officer from the Vancouver Police Department releasing an open letter to Mark Carney saying that his government is compromised and a handful of people, I think 9 of them, have to be removed from his cabinet, stating that there's evidence they knew about foreign interference and did nothing about it to protect Canadians. We also got Mark Carney questioned on the whole Button Gate situation. Pierre Poilievre coming out hard on crime and cracking down on Mark Carney for supporting Justin Trudeau's catch and release hug a thug laws we have in our country. Got a bunch of other stuff here. Let's jump into this. But look at this bombshell coming out here. So evidence was just released, an open letter to Mark Carney by Sergeant Peter Merrifield and Detective Paul McNarma shows that the Liberal government knew about foreign interference and chose to ignore it at their own benefit. So there's Liberal cabinet ministers, past and present, including some working in Mark Carney's office, have directly by intent permitted serious breaches of Canadian law. Says they have failed to act on serious allegations related to national security, conducted themselves in their cabinet roles with apparent malfeasance, and as a result, ultimately placed several Canadian citizens at grave risk. Goes on to say, we're asking you to show leadership and immediately remove below listed individuals from your party and or this election. And of course, we're offering you documents, communication records, and evidence to support these claims. The named ministers, past and present, of concerns are as follows. Marco Mendicino, failed Minister, Public Safety, failed to respond on the direction of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's office to address impropriety at CSIS and the RCMP, permitted breach of law, breaches of process, and breaches of policy, both CSIS and the RCMP. Got Dominic LeBlanc here, says failed to address breaches against Canadian improper use of electronic spyware, CSIS and the RCMP, failed to address breaches of the Canadian Charter of Rights, permitted breaches against labor unions, improper government use of spyware. This list is long. It's got Bill Blair, by authorizing extreme powers for CSIS to undertake inappropriate actions against innocent Canadians, permitted breaches of ministerial directive on national security operations in sensitive sectors, permitted breaches of the Canadian Charter of Rights. We got David McGuinty. So this is Mark Carney's new Minister of Public Safety. Says improper actions of CSIS withholding critical national security information from the RCMP investigation, failed to protect Canadian Charter of Rights, failed to address risks of Canadian citizens abroad. We got Nita Nand, who is the president of the Treasury Board, says intercede and address improper use of spyware by the RCMP against a labor union executive during a period of collective bargaining and unfair labor practice filing. These are very specific examples. It's not like, oh, they kind of did something bad maybe over there at some time. These are very specific. Did further fail to uphold Canadian Charter of Rights and permitted the Treasury Board of Canada to engage in bad faith collective bargaining, knowing that serious breaches of law had occurred. Steve McKinnon, to uphold Canadian Charter of Rights, failed to investigate breaches of the RCMP in labor designated sensitive sectors during sanctioned labor activities and collective bargaining. Melanie Joly failed as Minister of Foreign Affairs to address safety risks to Canadians traveling abroad to China and their family members in China, resulting from the public release of the protected Section 38 national security documents by the RCMP and the Public Prosecution Service of Canada without redaction. Arif Virani failed as Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada to address safety concerns to Canadians traveling abroad to China and their family members in China, resulting from the public release, the same thing as Melanie Joly there, and the Public Prosecution Service Canada without redaction. Chrystia Freeland failed as Deputy Prime Minister to address reported breach of labor rights, misuse of spyware technology by CSIS and RCMP, and breach of the Charter of Rights. So it goes on to say here, Mr. Carney, you have the opportunity to prove unequivocally to all Canadians that you place Canadians' ministerial responsibility and the rule of law above partisan political activity. They are absolutely calling him out here. You can see at the bottom here, signed by these detectives. So it goes on to say here, the information contained within was released publicly and without redaction or vetting by Cpac RCMP National Security Unit and public prosecutors in October 2024. The questionable Chinese interference file was manufactured by CSIS, who mishandled critical national security intelligence during the Men Wanzhou 2 Michael's crisis. CSIS betrayed one of its own Canadian covert foreign contract intelligence agents by operating in China and tried to terminate a serving Mountie based on several engineered allegations to cover up their own lack of real-time intelligence on the international crisis between China and Canada. Ooh, so they were waiting for the right time to drop this, weren't they? CSIS then provided false intelligence to the U.S. Department of State, leading to the termination of a security clearance Canadian former police officer employed by the Director of Security for the U.S. State Department facilities in Canada. It is rank in the underbelly there, isn't it? Furthermore, CSIS provided this erroneous intelligence to the Prime Minister's office, the Minister of Public Safety, and the Privy Council Office of Canada when the scenario was forwarded to the RCMP to begin foreign interference national security investigation. CSIS withheld critical national security information from the RCMP and then sent them on a wild goose chase up their own intelligence failures. So it goes on here onto the next page saying there's a direct violation of Section 38 National Security Act restrictions on disclosure of material harmful to the security of Canada, named individuals at risk of cyber attack, physical personal safety retaliation by foreign intelligence and security agencies. So it goes on to say here that this national security information vexatiously identifies Canadian citizens acting at the direction of Canada engaged in covert intelligence operations in China and have possession of documents identifying those operations. The named individuals are now at risk of cyber attack. So there's page after page here. This is a lot of information to take in. But what I basically just read there was the Coles notes of everything. The full document here is about 11 pages long. It comes with all the receipts here, what they're talking about. And it's assigned both of these police officer and detective here. Meanwhile, nothing will happen. Liberals take zero accountability and move ahead without any consequences. I don't know. I don't think so this time. It's time to get some consequences. Need to elect Pierre Poilievre. We need to crack down on everything, including this. China may own Carney, but Carney owns the media, intelligence agencies, law enforcement agencies, judiciary, and public service, among others. Nothing will happen. So people are wondering if these are the named traitors. Who knows? Maybe some of them are a part of that. So jumping over to my graph here regarding the traitors, we have them named here. So if you added all the rest of them here, we'd be well past 11. Probably some of them are on this list here. Thought this was interesting. We got the NDP coming out and using this clip of Karina Gould against Mark Carney. Pretty savage. As they say here, Mark Carney said he would balance the budget in 3 years, meaning deep cuts to services Canadians count on. You don't have to take our word for it. 8-year Liberal Minister Karina Gould agrees.
Mark Carney has said 3 years. Operational balance in 3 years. Doable?
No, I don't think it is. And I don't think it is something that we should be telling Canadians that we're going to do unless there's a lot of cuts that are coming. I mean, and that's the only way that you would be able to achieve that.
Well, that's straight to the point. Not a good look for the Liberals. Will she be part of Mark Carney's cabinet? I don't think so, especially not after this. Does Karina Gould have a lot of credibility? No. She's got about the credibility of a shoe. Actually, that's not fair to shoes. Look who we have here. Jagmeet Singh getting that photo op of him coming off a plane. He doesn't want to look broke, so he took one flight, probably asked one of the workers on the tarmac to take this photo of him. I noticed recently he's been taking a lot of photos in front of planes, just trying to seem like he's got, I don't know, money to run his campaign. I mean, Jagmeet, come on. We got Melissa Lanceman posting this one. So this was Mark Carney at his French appearance on TV last night. He says we have to choose a few projects, a few big projects, not necessarily pipelines, but maybe pipelines. We'll see. That's an absolute nothing answer.
Faut choisir quelques projets, quelques grands projets, pas nécessairement des pipelines, mais peut-être des pipelines. On verra.
Mark Carney's a two-faced liar. He'll say anything and everything, just try to get elected. He's just like Justin Trudeau. We got Pierre Poilievre coming out today, absolutely blasting Mark Carney's weak stance on crime.
And Mark Carney has said he will not change any of the catch and release Liberal laws. Like so many elites who don't have to feel the effects of their policies, he agrees with them. When he lives in a protected neighborhood, he is surrounded by security. He spent most of his adult life not even living in Canada. He has no idea what it's like to feel endangered in his community. With Mark Carney, you will get 4 more years of the same out-of-touch Liberal catch and release laws that have caused the problem in the first place. So the question is, do I respect Supreme Court decisions? The answer is yes. And I also respect the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which guarantees life, liberty, and the security of the person to every single Canadian. That right has been trampled on by the Liberals' catch and release laws that have unleashed crime and chaos in our communities. And I will use Section 33 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to put an end to the Liberal crime and drug wave and to protect law-abiding Canadians against the dangers that are spreading everywhere in our streets.
Right on. That's what we need. Every single day we see it. I could be putting a clip in every day of someone having their house invaded, jewelry store being robbed, car thefts, all of it. We could have an entire show of just that stuff in Canada. It's that bad. I can't understand the thought process of someone that isn't in agreement with this. One must look on the other side. What does it cause? It causes a lot of news in the news cycle, a lot of chaos. And with all that news in the media, it's easier to slip things under the rug. There's other ways to use this to direct people's fear. Creating fear is what, well, I mean, going back hundreds of years, dictators take advantage of fear and they use it for their own advantage. In response to this, we've got Mark Carney asked about the notwithstanding clause. We've got Larry Brock absolutely blasting him here.
Pierre Poilievre announced today he would use the notwithstanding clause to push through his tough on crime agenda. Is there any case you would invoke the clause to override the charter?
I think this is a very dangerous step. We have a charter of rights and fundamental freedoms in this country. And it's the responsibility, in my view, of the Prime Minister or the Government of Canada to defend that charter, those fundamental rights, responsibilities, and liberties that Canadians enjoy. The politicizing certain issues with respect to fundamental rights is a slippery slope.
Mark Carney gives me the chills every time he talks. This creepy mix of Count Chocula, Mr. Burns, and the Grinch. He's going to be the Grinch that steals Canadians' freedom if this guy gets elected. So Larry Brock blasting him here, saying Mark Carney actually said he wants to protect Canada's most vile, cold-blooded, I can't read any of these words, bad guys. A lot of bad guys from long sentences. We're talking about monsters who go on rampages, take multiple people out, and he wants to go soft on them. Yeah, these monsters, they should be in work facilities producing value for us, cranking every single day, 10 hours a day. If they don't do that, they don't get to eat. That's the only acceptable way to have a monster in our country. And what was Jagmeet Singh's response to this? Pretty softball.
What's your reaction to, going back to the notwithstanding clause, what's your reaction to Pierre Poilievre vowing to use the notwithstanding clause to ensure that those who have committed multiple murders stay behind bars for the rest of their lives?
Well, we obviously need to have severe penalties for people that commit horrible crimes. And right now we have that ability. We've got a criminal justice system.
Jagmeet, come on, man. You see every single day there's home invaders, there's all sorts of horrible stuff. You've got families who get woken up by some guy who just busted in the window. It's not even one, it's usually four of them, pulling out their pew-pews, pointing it to their heads, pointing it to their families' heads, their kids' heads. And even if these guys get caught, what do they get? 6 months ankle bracelet, playing Xbox at home?
Where judges are able to make that determination. And that should continue as is.
No one cares what he thinks anymore. I mean, if you look at his polling numbers, the loyal support for him is down to 10%. That's within the whole realm of leadership support. That's not party support, where most leaders should be up at 30-something%. With that, we got Pierre Poilievre further in his press conference here, talking about punishing the criminals in Canada.
We'll be bringing in tougher laws that crack down on hate-based vandalism, on violence and targeted at places of worship. We will bring in more security for places of worship, and we will deport from Canada anyone here on a visitor visa who carries out any crime. And we will prioritize the deportation of those who carry out hate crimes and violence on our streets. Those who are permanent or citizens who do those things, they will go to jail. And they will also, on top of that, there will be massive, crippling financial penalties for hate-based vandalism. And I can assure you they will be penalties that are so massive that there will never be, again, some punk thinking even once about throwing a Molotov cocktail into a Jewish business or firing at a Jewish school. They will pay a severe price for that. My message to the Jewish community, change is coming. And that change will mean you feel safe, you feel respected, you feel at home again in Canada.
I'm getting the chills from that, just hearing it. Pierre coming down hard on the criminals. I got the goosebumps going on here, folks. You know, this is a Canada I grew up in. We had our garage door open all the time. No one would come and steal anything. Door was unlocked. We didn't lock the door. No, people don't break in. There wasn't criminals. Now everyone's all kind of on edge. Every corner of the house here, I've got something to protect myself with. I have multiple of these. Here's a training one. That's the leader Canada needs so desperately. Brought tears to my eyes. Canada was a place where cultures peacefully coexisted. The Liberals ruined that with their horrible policies. And that is what we're seeing here today. This is getting so outrageous. So this one posted by Leviathan. What we have here is a bridge in Edmonton that is being completely commandeered by Palestinian protesters. So this platform doesn't like me playing this kind of footage, but... So they blocked the whole top. Says here, took over the upper level bridge in Edmonton. Our country's not safe anymore, and they're blocking infrastructure. Jail. 1 year in jail, digging ditches. This is absolutely absurd. And something else that is absurd. Look at this. So there's a guy caught ripping down signs, and this just gets worse as it goes on. Check this out.
Nice to see you, Alex. Is there any reason why you're smashing all my signs along Steeles?
Yeah, because your fucking party is evil.
Okay, so that doesn't give you the right to smash all my signs.
This is public property. You're polluting.
It's not. I'm not polluting. It's not.
Yeah, you are.
No, it's not. Listen, it's not private property. It's public property. You've been smashing all my signs along Steeles. Okay, I've got multiple pictures and videos of you doing it. So, if you disagree with something that we're doing, or if you disagree with something that you don't like in our platform, you're more than welcome to come to the office. You're more than welcome to talk to me about it. Have a civil conversation. But smashing my signs is completely unacceptable. I think you know that. So it's really unfortunate that you've chosen to do that. Do you have anything to say for yourself, or for the sign that you just literally grabbed out of the ground? You smashed all of them. Look, you're tossing them back here. You seem to like smashing conservative signs.
No, it's public property.
It's public property, yeah. And it doesn't give you the right to smash them.
It doesn't give you the right to put your sign on public property.
Yes, you're allowed to do that. We're in the middle of an election, sir. So you can absolutely do that.
So you can see this guy's absolutely insane. And this conservative candidate here stays calm and cool and collected the entire time. It says here this lasted 20 minutes before the police showed up. The police talked to him. This gets worse, though. He gets arrested. Now check out this. People are digging. They found out who this guy is. So it's this guy here. But more important, he's a deputy returning officer at Elections Canada. That is the wrong person to have in that job. This one says former deputy returning officer, Elections Canada. So I don't know if he still works there or not. This says September 2021 to September 2021, 1 month. Hopefully he does not work in this job still. Regardless, we need some good scrutineers at this election office here in Mississauga. Make sure there's no funny business on election day. Next up, Mark Carney is questioned about the pin scandal, the scandal where Liberals were caught making pins that they're putting around the Conservative conference, trying to connect the Conservative Party of Canada to Donald Trump.
Good morning. Kate McKenna from the CBC.
Hi.
Members of the Liberal War Room, so the Central Campaign, distributed Stop the Steal buttons at a Conservative event. Given the anti-democratic implications of this phrase, how much does this event undermine the trust in the way that the Liberals operate? And what have you done in response to these revelations?
Thanks for the question. Look, this is totally unacceptable, to be absolutely clear. And I, on behalf of my campaign, I was unaware of this behavior, but on behalf of my campaign, I apologize for it unreservedly. Okay. I've made it absolutely clear to my campaign that this behavior or anything approximating it or in that spirit is unacceptable, cannot happen again.
There's no lengths that these guys won't go to. I mean, they got China trying to help them win this election. Creating pins at a Conservative conference? Are you kidding me? Button gates. Dear Lord, this is the state of Canada and I'm embarrassed. Did Carney give the order to do this? Who knows? Who knows what goes on in this party? They're a bunch of grifters. Carney lacks leadership and inexperience to be prime minister. That's nothing new for the Liberal Party. Buttongate would have been approved either way by both Gerald Butts and Katie Telford. And right on cue, I'm going to point this out in every press conference he does when he gets asked a question he really doesn't like. You can see here he steps away from the mic a little bit every time he does it, just before he gives his response. Next up, we got Mark Carney throwing Justin Trudeau under the bus. He actually threw him under the bus last night during his French TV appearance, and he does it again here.
Yes, so next question. Well, hello, Mr. Carney. Rene Brumer, Montreal Gazette. Last night on Tout le monde en parle, you mentioned that for Justin Trudeau, the economy wasn't a main priority. Could you elaborate on what you meant by that and how you plan to differ?
Yeah. Of course, I'm speaking in relative terms, but I stand by what I said. I'll give you a few examples. You know, over the course of the last 10 years, the pace of government spending, particularly operational expenditures, rose by an average of 9% a year. 9% year after year after year. That's about twice the rate of growth of the economy. The level of government support for industry and business investment and housing and other factors will be considered. You'll see when we release our detailed platform, our platform chiffrée, that level of support is much lower than the level of support that we are going to give it.
Oh, really? So Justin Trudeau wasn't supporting Canadians when you were his economic advisor. He wasn't supporting businesses, yet you were his economic advisor.
We're focused on a government that spends less so that Canada can invest more. That we can invest more in defense. We can invest more in new trade corridors. We invest more in energy.
This guy's hilarious. The central banker who's known for printing money is now saying he's going to spend less.
Clean and conventional. We can invest more in building new houses. All of those things. And we're going to use government to catalyze those investments. We're also going to have the better tax system, better regulation, all those other factors. The housing crisis, the cost of living crisis, the productivity challenge, and now, of course, what has come with that is this great economic crisis, tariff crisis that the Americans have brought on us. So, in a sense, relative to the years of the previous government, these are big, big changes. These are not small changes. These are not changes in words. These are enormous economic changes, and they're exactly what's necessary to give ourselves far more than the Americans can take away, to build a Canada that can lead.
Canada can lead? This is coming from the guy who likely doesn't pay taxes in Canada, won't answer the question, who the company he was chairing found a way for them to not pay their fair share of taxes. This guy is unbelievable.
I mean, look around it. The expertise that is literally embodied by the workers here at Bombardier. That's the focus.
This guy's just like Justin Trudeau. He likes to leverage other people's success for himself. He's so arrogant. His perspective on life is completely unrelatable to all other Canadians. He was a rich banker that was getting $10,000 or $20,000 a month just as living expenses in the UK. He won't answer a question about him paying taxes in our country. Does he even pay taxes here? I doubt it.
Big change. A big change. Merci.
We got this one here from Stephen Leckie. It says in Western Australia, it takes 6 to 7 years to open a mine. In Europe, it's 8 to 9 years. Here at home in Alberta and Saskatchewan, 10 years. Meanwhile, Ontario ranks 10 out of 10 subnational jurisdictions for mining investment attractiveness. There's major problems in this country that could be easily addressed, but the Liberals do not want us to be successful here. Their track record proves it. Pierre Poilievre is the only one who can get this done. You need to stand up as a conservative. Well, there we have it. It's just something else every single day. So many things are coming out. There's so much corruption and interference. I mean, look at China helping Mark Carney. People need to realize, like, this is a bad thing. China is probably the #1 country that is involved in hacking, interfering in other countries. Their whole Belt and Road initiative across Africa. They build these embassies in these countries that can't afford it. They put secret cameras in the rooms and microphones to listen into conversations so they have more intel about what's going on with trade and projects around the world. Like, China is not the country we want to align with. People are waking up, though. We are going to win this election.